If you're seeing this, it's not random. Listen until the end, chosen one.
Chosen ones, listen to me very carefully. What I am about to share is not for everyone. This message is urgent, it is important, and it is meant only for those who are truly walking the divine path of God. If you are not serious about your spiritual journey, if you are not aligned with God's calling, then this message is not for you. But if you felt something pull you here, if you sensed an inner nudge you could not ignore, then understand this clearly. This message reached you at the exact moment you needed it. Not early, not late, right on time. There is something many chosen ones are allowing into their lives right now, unknowingly, and it is seriously harming their well-being. It is draining your peace, disturbing your mind, and weakening your spiritual strength without you even realizing it. And the longer it stays, the heavier you feel. Today, God wants that to stop. I am speaking to you as someone who has walked this path for a long time. What you will hear today can protect you, restore you, and shift something deep inside you if you stay with me until the end. Before we continue, chosen ones, give a like to this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, tap the bell icon, and share this message with other chosen ones who need this healing. And comment 777 in the comments as a sign that you are aligned, aware, and ready for restoration. Now stay with me. What comes next may explain everything you've been feeling. Section 2. The invisible drain on the chosen. Chosen ones, I want you to breathe for a moment and listen closely. What you have been feeling lately is not imaginary. It is not weakness, and it is not a lack of faith. Many of you have been carrying a weight you could not name. You wake up tired even after rest. Your mind feels crowded even in silence. Your heart feels heavy without a clear reason. And the most confusing part is this. You still love God. You still believe, yet something feels off. That confusion alone has troubled many of you more than the exhaustion itself. Let me tell you something clearly, without hesitation. The chosen ones do not break loudly. They drain quietly. The enemy does not always attack you with chaos. Sometimes the strategy is slow erosion. Peace is reduced little by little. Joy fades gently. Strength leaks out silently. And because it does not look dramatic, you keep going, telling yourself you are fine. But deep inside, you know something is wrong. Chosen ones are wired differently. You feel deeper, perceive more, and carry a higher level of spiritual awareness. Because of that, you are also more affected by what you allow around you and within you. What others can tolerate without consequence affects you intensely. What others ignore drains you. What others brush off weighs on you. And because you are strong, because you have endured much already, you have learned to normalize what should never have become normal. Some of you have been telling yourselves, this is just life, or everyone feels this way. But I am here to correct that thought. No, everyone does not feel this way. This heaviness is not universal. It is specific. It shows up most often in those who are spiritually sensitive and divinely assigned. And when you do not understand why it is happening, you begin to question yourself instead of questioning what you are allowing. This is where the invisible drain begins to do the most damage. You start blaming your own mind. You wonder if you are ungrateful. You ask yourself why you cannot simply be at peace like others. Some of you even begin to feel guilty for feeling tired, as if rest itself were a failure. Listen to me. God never designed his chosen ones to live in constant inner tension. Conviction is sharp and clear. Burdens that drain you endlessly are not from him. The invisible drain does not come with alarms, it does not announce itself. It enters quietly through habits, environments, expectations, and emotional attachments that seem harmless on the surface. Over time, it begins to affect your inner balance. You become more irritable than usual. Small things overwhelm you. Your patience shortens, your enthusiasm fades, and slowly, without realizing it, you begin to live in survival mode instead of spiritual authority. Many chosen ones confuse endurance with obedience. You think that because you can carry it, you should. But strength was never meant to be abused. Just because you are capable of enduring something does not mean you were called to endure it forever. There is a difference between carrying your cross and carrying unnecessary weight. One brings transformation, the other brings quiet damage. Let me say this gently but firmly. Constant emotional exhaustion is not a badge of holiness. Mental heaviness is not proof of devotion. God does not require you to be depleted to be faithful. Yet many of you have unknowingly accepted depletion as part of your calling. You have learned to function while drained. You pray while tired. You serve while empty. You give while running on fumes. And because you keep going, no one sees how much it costs you. This is why the drain remains invisible. Others see your strength. They do not see the price. They see your discipline. They do not feel your inner strain. And because you rarely complain, because you are spiritually mature, because you do not want to burden others, the drain continues unchecked. Over time, it begins to affect how connected you feel to God. Not because He has moved away, but because exhaustion dulls perception. Spiritual sensitivity requires spiritual care. When it is neglected, confusion enters. Discernment becomes clouded. You start doubting things you once knew clearly. You begin questioning your direction. You feel restless even when nothing is outwardly wrong. This is not because you are failing, it is because something has been quietly pulling from you without replenishing you. Chosen ones, hear this carefully. God does not ignore this kind of exhaustion. He addresses it. He brings awareness before collapse. He interrupts patterns before damage becomes permanent. The fact that you are listening to this now is not coincidence. It is intervention. God is drawing your attention to something you have normalized but should never have accepted. This section is not meant to alarm you. It is meant to free you from confusion. What you are experiencing has a reason. And more importantly, it has a solution. You are not broken. You are not losing your calling. You are not spiritually weak. You are simply dealing with an invisible drain that was never meant to remain. And in the next part, I am going to explain why chosen ones are affected differently, why this drain targets you more intensely, and why understanding this will immediately lift some of the pressure you have been carrying. Stay with me. What you're about to understand will change how you see yourself and what you tolerate forever. Section 3. Why chosen ones are hit differently. Chosen ones, this is where many of you finally find relief. When you understand why you feel what others do not. For a long time, some of you have wondered why life seems to press on you harder, why situations affect you deeper, why your inner world reacts so strongly to things that barely touch others. And because you did not have language for it, you quietly assumed something was wrong with you. Today, that assumption ends. You are not fragile. You are finely tuned. There is a difference. Fragility breaks easily. Sensitivity perceives deeply. God did not form chosen ones to be numb. He formed you to be aware of shifts, aware of truth, aware of spiritual atmospheres, aware of emotional undercurrents that others walk through without noticing. That awareness is a gift, but every gift carries responsibility. When it is not protected, it becomes overwhelming. Chosen ones are not built to skim the surface of life. You feel meaning, you feel tension, you feel dissonance. You notice when something is off, even when everything looks fine on the outside. This is why crowds exhaust you faster. This is why shallow conversations drain you. This is why environments charged with fear, negativity, or falsehood weigh on you so heavily. You are not imagining it, you are discerning it. And because you discern more, you absorb more. Others can be surrounded by noise and remain untouched. Others can engage in constant stimulation and feel energized. But for you, too much input creates inner static. Your mind needs clarity. Your spirit needs alignment. When either is compromised, you feel it immediately. This is why chosen ones require a different rhythm of living. Not because you are weak, but because you are designed for depth. Let me speak plainly now. What feels harmless to others is often harmful to you. What feels manageable to them slowly drains you. And this is where many chosen ones make a critical mistake. You try to live by standards that were never designed for your calling. You compare your capacity to people who are not carrying what you carry. And when you cannot keep up, you judge yourself instead of questioning the model. God never intended for chosen ones to blend in. He intended for you to be set apart. And separation does not only apply to sin, it applies to pace, to focus, to emotional boundaries, to mental intake, to spiritual exposure. When you ignore that truth, imbalance follows. You see, chosen ones do not get worn down by obvious attacks alone. Those you can recognize and resist. What affects you most are subtle misalignments. Small compromises, constant noise, emotional overextension, saying yes when your spirit is saying no, staying connected to things God already told you to outgrow. None of these feel dangerous in the moment, but over time they create internal conflict, and internal conflict is exhausting. Many of you are tired not because you are doing too much, but because you are carrying what does not belong to you. You feel responsible for others' emotions. You feel compelled to fix what God never assigned you to heal. You remain in spaces that drain you because you believe love requires self-neglect. Listen to me carefully. Love never demands the destruction of your well-being. Chosen ones are often misunderstood because your depth intimidates those who live on the surface. Your need for truth unsettles those comfortable with illusion. Your sensitivity exposes things others would rather ignore, and instead of honoring that design, you have learned to mute it. You downplay your intuition. You override your discernment. You silence your inner warnings to avoid conflict or isolation. But every time you do that, you pay a price internally. This is why you are hit differently. You are not built for denial. You are built for alignment. When your life is aligned with God's design for you, peace flows naturally, not because life becomes easy, but because your spirit is not fighting itself. When alignment is lost, even small things feel heavy. Even rest does not restore you fully. Even prayer feels strained, and you begin to wonder why something that once energized you now feels difficult. Let me say this with authority and compassion. There is nothing wrong with your sensitivity. It is not something to overcome. It is something to steward. The problem begins when you try to function as if you were built like everyone else. When you ignore your need for spiritual space. When you neglect stillness. When you allow constant emotional demands without renewal. Over time, your system becomes overloaded. God designed chosen ones to operate from overflow, not depletion. When Jesus withdrew, it was not weakness. It was wisdom. When he separated himself from crowds, it was not avoidance. It was preservation. He understood something many of you are still learning. Impact requires intimacy with God, and intimacy requires space. If you are always accessible, you will eventually become unavailable to yourself. And when you are disconnected from yourself, discernment weakens, boundaries blur, exhaustion increases. This is not accidental. It is the predictable result of misalignment. Chosen ones, the reason you are hit differently is because you are called differently. Your spirit responds faster, your conscience speaks louder, your inner world reacts more intensely. That is not a flaw. It is a sign of refinement. But refinement demands care. A sharp instrument must be protected or it dulls. A sensitive spirit must be guarded or it becomes overwhelmed. Understanding this should not make you afraid. It should make you intentional. You do not need to harden yourself. You need to honor how God made you. When you do, much of the pressure you have been carrying will begin to lift. Confusion will fade. Self-blame will quiet. And clarity will return. In the next part, I'm going to speak directly about the specific thing many chosen ones must avoid immediately. Not with fear, not with condemnation, but with clarity and authority. Because once you see it clearly, you will never tolerate it the same way again. Stay with me. This understanding will protect your peace more than you realize. Section 4. The thing you must avoid immediately. Chosen ones, now we come to the heart of this message. I want you to listen calmly, not defensively. Nothing I am about to say is meant to accuse you. This is not about condemnation. This is about protection. What I am revealing now is something many of you have been tolerating, excusing, or misunderstanding, and it is quietly harming your well-being. The thing you must avoid immediately is constant inner exposure without spiritual boundaries. Let me explain this carefully, because if I say it too simply, you may miss it. This is not just about what you watch or hear. It is about what you allow continuous access to your mind, emotions, and spirit without discernment or rest. It is the habit of remaining mentally and emotionally open all the time. Always available, always processing, always absorbing, never closing the door. Chosen ones often confuse openness with love. You believe that being spiritually mature means being endlessly receptive. So you listen to everyone. You take in every opinion. You absorb every emotional burden. You stay connected to things God has already shown you are misaligned. You allow constant information, constant noise, constant spiritual and emotional stimulation, and you rarely pause long enough to ask what it is doing to you. This kind of exposure does not feel dangerous at first. In fact, it often feels responsible. You tell yourself you are being patient, understanding, informed, compassionate. But over time, something subtle begins to happen. Your inner peace starts thinning. Your clarity dulls. Your emotional reactions intensify. You feel overwhelmed more easily. You lose the quiet strength you once carried. And you cannot pinpoint why. Here is the truth. Most chosen ones resist at first. Not everything deserves access to you. Not every conversation, not every problem, not every voice, not every emotional demand. When you allow constant access, you violate your own spiritual design. God did not create you to be a reservoir that never refills. He created you to be a channel, connected to Him, not endlessly open to everything else. Many of you have been living without internal gates. You wake up and immediately expose your mind to stimulation. You move through your day reacting instead of discerning. You end your night still absorbing unresolved emotional residue. And because none of this looks sinful, you assume it is harmless. But what harms chosen ones most often is not obvious sin. It is unchecked access. Unchecked access slowly trains your nervous system to stay alert. It keeps your spirit in a constant state of engagement. You are always thinking, always processing, always sensing. This is why rest no longer feels restorative. This is why silence sometimes makes you uneasy. This is why your body feels tired even when you have not done much physically. Your system has not shut down in a long time. Chosen ones were never meant to live in constant reception mode. Even Jesus withdrew. Even He stepped away. Even He guarded moments of silence. Not because He was overwhelmed, but because He understood something very important. Power flows best through a vessel that is not overstimulated. Let me say this boldly. Spiritual openness without boundaries leads to spiritual exhaustion. Some of you have allowed constant exposure to emotionally draining relationships. You listen endlessly. You support continuously. You remain present long after your spirit has signaled enough. Others of you have allowed constant informational exposure. News, opinions, arguments, teachings, voices, all competing for space in your mind. And some of you have allowed constant spiritual comparison. You observe others' journeys so closely that you lose connection with your own. None of these feel wrong individually, but together they create a condition where your inner world never gets to rest, and a spirit that never rests eventually loses sensitivity, not because it is weak, but because it is overwhelmed. This is where the real damage happens. When your sensitivity dulls, discernment weakens. When discernment weakens, you begin tolerating things you once recognized as misaligned. You stay longer. You explain away discomfort. You override your intuition, and slowly you drift from inner alignment, not dramatically, but quietly. Chosen ones, I need you to understand this clearly. God does not require you to be constantly available to be faithful. Availability without alignment is not obedience. Exposure without discernment is not love. There is a difference between being present and being porous. Many of you have become porous. Everything flows in, very little is filtered, and over time your inner clarity becomes cloudy. You may ask, why does this affect me so strongly? Because you are spiritually receptive by design. You pick up on atmospheres. You sense emotional shifts. You feel spiritual tension. This is why you must be more guarded, not less. A sensitive instrument must be stored properly. A refined spirit must be protected intentionally. The enemy understands this. That is why the attack is not always direct. If he can keep you constantly stimulated, constantly involved, constantly emotionally engaged, he does not need to destroy you. Exhaustion will do the work for him. Confusion will follow. Doubt will creep in. Peace will erode. And here is the part many chosen ones struggle to accept. Some of what is draining you comes from things you once needed, but no longer do. You have outgrown certain exposures. You have surpassed certain emotional dynamics. You have moved beyond certain inputs. But because you did not formally close the door, they remain open. And what once fed you now drains you. Avoiding this immediately does not mean becoming cold or isolated. It means becoming intentional. It means deciding what gets access to your inner world. It means recognizing when something costs more than it gives. It means trusting the discomfort that arises when a boundary is needed. Let me speak directly to the guilt some of you feel right now. Setting boundaries is not rejection. Reducing exposure is not abandonment. Choosing silence is not neglect. It is stewardship. God will never fault you for protecting what He entrusted to you. You are not called to carry everything. You are not designed to process everything. You are not meant to be spiritually exposed at all times. That level of openness is unsustainable, and your exhaustion is proof. Chosen ones, this is why this message is urgent. Not because something dramatic is about to happen, but because something quiet has been happening for too long. And God is calling you to stop it now, before it costs you more clarity, more peace, more strength. In the next part, I'm going to explain how this constant exposure affects your mind, your body, and your spirit in very real ways, and why some of the symptoms you have been experiencing suddenly make sense. Stay with me. Understanding this will remove the fear and replace it with relief. Section 5. How this affects your mind, body, and spirit. Chosen ones, this is where many of you finally begin to understand yourselves again. What you have been feeling has not been random. It has not been weakness. It has not been a lack of prayer or devotion. It has been the natural result of living too long without protection over your inner world. And when the inner world is affected, it shows up everywhere, mentally, physically, and spiritually. Let us start with the mind. Many of you have noticed that your thoughts feel heavier than they used to. Your mind does not settle easily anymore. Even when nothing is wrong, you feel mentally restless. You overthink conversations. You replay situations. You feel mentally alert even when you want to rest. This is not anxiety in the way the world defines it. This is a mind that has been overstimulated for too long without release. When your mind is constantly exposed, it loses its ability to reset. It stays in processing mode. It stays alert. It stays guarded. And eventually, it becomes fatigued. This is why some of you feel mentally tired before the day even begins. You wake up already thinking, already sensing, already carrying mental weight. That is not how God designed your mind to function. A rested mind is sharp. An overexposed mind is foggy. This is why focus has become harder for some of you. You start things but struggle to finish. You know what you should do, but you feel internally scattered. You feel pulled in many directions at once. And because you are self-aware, this frustrates you deeply. You wonder why your discipline feels weaker when in reality your mind is simply overloaded. Now let us talk about the body. The body often speaks what the spirit has been holding silently. Many chosen ones experience unexplained fatigue, tension in the shoulders, tightness in the chest, shallow breathing, a constant low-level exhaustion that does not fully disappear with sleep. Some of you feel heavy in your limbs, others feel restless, unable to fully relax. This is not imagined. This is the body responding to prolonged internal strain. When you live without boundaries, your nervous system does not get the signal that it is safe to rest. It stays alert. It stays engaged. Over time, this constant alertness drains physical energy. You may not be doing much outwardly, but inwardly, you have been doing too much for too long. This is why even stillness sometimes feels uncomfortable. Your body has forgotten how to fully let go. Silence feels unfamiliar. Rest feels incomplete. Not because rest is wrong, but because your system has been conditioned to constant input. God designed the body to respond to peace. When peace is absent, the body compensates. It tightens, it holds, it braces. And if this continues unchecked, it leads to physical depletion. Not dramatic illness, but subtle, ongoing weariness that slowly affects your quality of life. Now let us speak about the spirit. This is the part many of you feel most deeply but struggle to explain. You still believe. You still love God. You still desire spiritual growth. Yet something feels distant. Prayer feels heavier. Worship feels quieter. Discernment feels muted. Not gone, but less sharp than it once was. This does not mean God has moved away from you. It means your spirit has been tired. Spiritual connection requires stillness. It requires receptivity. It requires space. When your inner world is constantly occupied, constantly reacting, constantly absorbing, your spirit does not get the quiet it needs to listen. And when listening becomes difficult, guidance feels less clear. Some of you have mistaken this for spiritual failure. You have questioned your faith. You have wondered if you did something wrong. Let me correct that gently and firmly. God is not disappointed in you. He sees the weight you have been carrying. He sees how long you have been giving without replenishment, and He is calling you back to alignment, not punishing you for imbalance. A tired spirit does not rebel, it withdraws. This is why some of you feel emotionally numb at times, not depressed, just flat. You feel less joy, less excitement, less emotional response. This is not because you no longer care, it is because your spirit has gone into conservation mode. It is protecting itself from further depletion. Chosen ones, this is not something to be ashamed of. It is something to be understood. God built you with limits on purpose, not to restrict you, but to preserve you. When those limits are ignored, the system compensates, the mind overworks, the body tightens, the spirit quiets, and eventually you feel disconnected from yourself. But here is the part I want you to hear clearly. This condition is reversible. You have not lost your calling. You have not damaged your spirit permanently. You have not missed your moment. You are not behind. You are simply being invited to recalibrate, to restore balance, to return to the rhythm God designed for you. The symptoms you are experiencing are not warnings of collapse. They are signals calling for adjustment. And God, in His mercy, sends awareness before breakdown. He speaks before damage becomes deep. He calls you back before you lose yourself. Chosen ones, nothing you are feeling disqualifies you. It informs you. Your exhaustion is not a sign of failure. It is a sign that something holy needs protection. Your restlessness is not rebellion. It is your spirit asking for space. Your heaviness is not weakness. It is your soul asking to be relieved of what it was never meant to carry. And this is why this message matters so much. Because once you understand what is happening, fear begins to dissolve. Confusion lifts. Self-blame fades. You stop fighting yourself. You stop forcing strength. And you begin allowing restoration. In the next part, I'm going to explain why God is calling you out of this now. Why this awareness is not accidental. And why this moment marks the beginning of healing, not exposure. Stay with me. What comes next will bring reassurance to the part of you that has been quietly asking, why now? Section 6. Why God is calling you out of it now. Chosen ones, there is a question rising quietly inside many of you right now. You may not have put it into words yet, but it is there. Why now? Why is this awareness coming at this moment in your life? Why is God addressing this season, this pattern, this exhaustion right now, and not earlier? Let me answer you with clarity and peace. God does not wait until his chosen ones are broken beyond repair. He intervenes before collapse. He speaks before damage becomes permanent. He calls you out before depletion turns into disconnection. What you are experiencing right now is not exposure. It is protection. It is not correction. It is care. You are being called out of this because you have reached a threshold. There are seasons when God allows endurance to build strength, and there are seasons when endurance, if continued, would begin to weaken you. Wisdom is knowing the difference. God knows when something that once refined you is now draining you, and when that moment arrives, he does not remain silent. Many of you have been faithful longer than you realize. You have carried responsibility with little recognition. You have remained disciplined even when no one was watching. You have stayed spiritually alert through seasons that demanded much from you. And because you are capable, because you are resilient, because you are chosen, you kept going, even when rest was overdue. But capability does not mean permission to be depleted. God is calling you out now because what lies ahead of you requires clarity, not exhaustion. It requires discernment, not dullness. It requires peace, not survival mode. You cannot step into the next phase of your calling while constantly managing inner strain. That is not punishment. That is preparation. There is also something else you must understand. God does not rush his chosen ones, but he does not delay them unnecessarily either. When awareness arrives, it means timing matters. Not because something bad is about to happen, but because something important is forming. God always stabilizes his vessels before he uses them more deeply. Some of you are being pulled inward right now, not outward. You feel a strange urge to withdraw, to simplify, to quiet your life. You may have resisted it at first, thinking you were becoming less productive or less available. But what if this pull is not retreat? What if it is alignment? God often removes noise before he gives direction. He reduces stimulation before he increases clarity. He restores inner order before he releases outward impact. This is not regression. This is recalibration. Chosen ones, hear this carefully. God is not disappointed in you for needing rest. He is not frustrated with you for feeling tired. He is not questioning your faith because you are weary. He sees the full picture. He sees what you have carried, and he sees what is coming. The reason this call is happening now is because you are ready to respond to it. Earlier, you may not have understood it. You may have resisted it. You may have pushed through it. But now your spirit recognizes the truth. Something inside you knows this message is not random. It feels familiar. It feels timely. It feels right. That recognition itself is evidence of growth. There is a common misunderstanding among chosen ones that God only speaks loudly during crisis. But often, his most important instructions come during subtle moments of awareness. A quiet realization, a gentle nudge, a sense that something must change, not urgently, but intentionally. That is what this moment is. God is calling you out now because you are no longer meant to function on borrowed energy. You are no longer meant to rely on adrenaline, obligation, or emotional momentum. He is calling you back to operating from presence, not pressure, from alignment, not availability, from overflow, not endurance. Some of you have felt guilty for wanting space. You have felt uneasy about reducing access. You have questioned whether stepping back meant stepping away from God's will. Let me correct that thought. God is the one inviting you to step back. Not away from Him, but away from what has been draining you. When Elijah collapsed under exhaustion, God did not rebuke him. He fed him. He let him sleep. He restored him quietly before speaking again. God understands the limits of the human vessel, and He honors them. Chosen ones, the call you are feeling now is not to do more. It is to do less, more intentionally, to protect what is sacred, to simplify what has become cluttered, to close doors that no longer serve your growth. This is not loss, this is refinement. There is also a deeper reason God is calling you out now. Prolonged exposure without boundaries does not only drain energy, it clouds identity. Over time, you begin to define yourself by what you respond to instead of who you are. God is restoring your sense of self, your clarity, your inner authority. You cannot hear God clearly when your inner world is crowded. You cannot move confidently when your spirit is fatigued. You cannot lead, create, or serve effectively when you are constantly replenishing what has been drained. God knows this. That is why He intervenes now. And let me reassure you of something important. You are not late. You have not missed your moment. You have not delayed God's plan. Divine timing is not fragile. God builds margin into your journey. He accounts for seasons of rest, recalibration, and renewal. This call is not a warning of danger, it is an invitation to peace. Chosen ones, God is calling you out of this now because He values your well-being, because He sees your sensitivity, because He knows your limits, because He cares not only about what you do, but about how you live while doing it. And in the next part, I'm going to guide you through the healing shift you must make, not as a rigid rule, not as a heavy instruction, but as a gentle, powerful adjustment that will begin restoring your peace almost immediately. Stay with me. What comes next is not demanding, it is freeing. Section 7. The healing shift. You must make chosen ones. Now we come to the turning point. Everything up to this moment has been about understanding. This part is about adjustment, not pressure, not force, not a list of rules. A shift, a quiet, intentional change that begins restoring your peace almost immediately. The healing shift you must make is this. You must move from constant reaction to conscious alignment. Many of you have been living reactively for too long, responding to needs, responding to expectations, responding to emotions, yours and others, even responding spiritually, without pause. You have been good at it, too good, and that is why it has cost you so much internally. Healing begins when you stop responding automatically and start responding intentionally. This does not mean withdrawing from life. It means choosing your engagement. It means deciding ahead of time what deserves access to your inner world and what does not. It means recognizing that your peace is not fragile, but it is valuable, and valuable things are protected. The first part of this shift is learning to pause. Chosen ones, pause is not laziness. Pause is discernment. When you pause, you give your spirit space to speak before your mind reacts. You give God room to guide before you commit. Many of you have lost this rhythm. You move quickly, you answer immediately, you stay engaged longer than necessary, and over time, this constant motion dulls your inner clarity. Begin practicing pause in small ways, not dramatic changes, small, holy interruptions. Pause before responding, pause before agreeing, pause before absorbing someone else's emotional state, pause before exposing your mind to noise. In that pause, ask quietly, "Does this serve my alignment right now?" That single question will protect you more than you realize. The second part of this shift is reclaiming stillness. Stillness is not emptiness, it is alignment. Stillness is where your spirit recalibrates. Many chosen ones fear stillness because when you finally stop, you feel how tired you are. But that discomfort is not a sign to avoid stillness. It is a sign that you need it. God speaks most clearly when your inner world is quiet. Not silent from sound, but quiet from strain. This is why even a few moments of intentional stillness each day can begin restoring what has been drained for months. You do not need long hours. You need consistency. A few moments where nothing is required of you, where you are not solving, fixing, or processing. Just being. That space is not wasted. It is healing. The third part of the healing shift is redefining boundaries, not as walls, but as wisdom. Boundaries are not about pushing people away. They are about protecting what God entrusted to you. Many chosen ones associate boundaries with guilt because you were taught that love requires constant access, but love without limits becomes self-neglect. And God does not call you to neglect yourself in His name. Healthy boundaries sound gentle, not harsh. They are not explanations, they are decisions. You do not need to justify them to everyone. You only need to honor them yourself. When you stop explaining and start respecting your limits, something inside you relaxes. Your nervous system calms. Your spirit feels safer. And let me say this clearly. Anyone who benefits from your exhaustion will struggle with your boundaries. That does not mean your boundaries are wrong. It means they are necessary. The fourth part of this shift is releasing what no longer feeds you. Some of you are holding on to inputs that once helped you but now drain you. Teachings, conversations, habits, rhythms. You are not wrong for outgrowing them. Growth requires release. God does not ask you to keep consuming what no longer nourishes you. This is where discernment replaces loyalty. Loyalty to misalignment is not faithfulness. It is stagnation. You are allowed to move on. You are allowed to change. You are allowed to protect your capacity. Releasing does not require drama. It requires honesty. You do not need to announce it. You simply stop overexposing yourself. You reduce access. You simplify. And in that simplicity, peace returns. The fifth part of this healing shift is returning to God without pressure. Some of you have been approaching God exhausted. You pray while tired. You seek while drained. And because of that, even spiritual practices feel heavy at times. God is not asking you to perform for Him. He is inviting you to rest with Him. Prayer does not need to be long to be real. Worship does not need intensity to be sincere. God meets you in sincerity, not strain. When you stop forcing spiritual effort and start allowing spiritual presence, connection deepens naturally. Let your time with God become a place of restoration, not obligation. A place where you receive, not just give. God is not impressed by how much you carry. He is pleased when you trust Him enough to lay things down. Chosen ones, this healing shift is not about becoming less caring. It is about becoming more aligned. It is not about doing less for God. It is about living more fully with Him. When alignment returns, peace follows. When peace returns, clarity strengthens. When clarity strengthens, strength renews itself. You do not need to fix everything at once. Healing is not an emergency. It is a process. Small adjustments compound, each boundary respected, each pause taken, each exposure reduced, each moment of stillness honored. All of it adds up. And one day soon, you will notice something quietly beautiful. You will wake up with more clarity. Your mind will feel lighter. Your body will relax more easily. Your spirit will feel present again. Not because life became perfect, but because you are no longer fighting yourself. Chosen ones, you were never meant to survive your calling. You were meant to live it with peace. In the final part, I am going to bring everything together and remind you of who you are, what this moment represents, and why your restoration is already in motion. Stay with me. This ending is not heavy, it is settling. Section 8. Conclusion. Your restoration is already in motion. Chosen ones, take a moment and notice how you feel right now. Not what you are thinking, but what you are sensing. If something inside you feels calmer, clearer, or more settled, that is not emotion. That is recognition. Truth always brings relief before it brings action. And today, truth found you exactly where you are. You were never weak. You were never failing. You were never falling behind. You were simply carrying more than you were meant to carry, for longer than you were meant to carry it. And God, in His mercy, stepped in, not to correct you, but to protect you. This message reached you at the right time because your restoration has already begun. Awareness is the first sign of healing. Alignment always starts quietly. Peace does not arrive loudly. It settles in gently, once the pressure lifts. And from this moment forward, you are no longer moving blindly. You see, you understand, and because of that you can choose differently. Remember this: God values your well-being. He does not ask you to destroy yourself to serve Him. He calls you to walk with Him, rested, clear, and whole. Your sensitivity is still intact. Your calling is still secure. Your path is still unfolding. Nothing has been lost. Honor the pauses. Respect the boundaries. Protect the stillness. Let peace become your guide again. You do not need to rush. You do not need to prove anything. You only need to stay aligned. Before you go, chosen ones, give a like to this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and share this message with other chosen ones who need this healing. And once again, comment 777 in the comments as a sign that you are aligned, protected, and stepping into restoration. Walk gently, walk wisely, and remember, God is not rushing you, He is restoring you.